Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Friday Night Live. My name is Jen. I'm a grateful follower of Jesus, and I struggle with anger and self hatred. And
Hello,
I'm with my
Jen.
friend. Hi, how are you, Wendy?
Good. And I'm Wendy, and I am a grateful follower of Jesus, and I struggle in the area of control and codependency. And we are I just wanted to get that out there because sometimes I forget to introduce myself. But we are so
Right.
excited to be here with you tonight. And Jen and I have been talking throughout the week, and um, yeah, it'd be kind of interesting for you to hear some of our conversations, the things we talked about. Today was a what was your favorite thing for lunch all week? And ironically, I mine was Rice Krispies with a few honey nuts on top of it. So, Jen, can you recall any of those funny conversations we've had
Wendy,
this week?
oh my gosh. There's so many. Wendy and I talk to each other a lot throughout the week via Zoom, via FaceTime. Uh, we are we obviously work together, so we're constantly chit chatting. And today I was like, "Do you want a phone or just FaceTime?" And so she FaceTimes me, and all of a sudden I'm like, "Well, you're getting the like real McCoy, no makeup, no hair." Like I literally just hadn't done anything, still in my pajamas and bathrobe. Quite frankly, Wendy, I didn't even brush my teeth for you this morning. So we are at that level now in quarantine, in isolation, where I
That's
don't even
true.
brush my teeth for you because, yeah, that's
Well, and
just
I
where it's at.
wonder, like, how many of us are out there that don't like would not think about not going to work without brushing your
Right?
teeth, but yet we jump on a Zoom call or anything like that.
Totally.
So
I've
these are
had
just
pants on.
very
I do
weird
put pants on.
times. Well, that's good
We're
to
good.
know. That's
Yeah.
good to know.
Yeah. Yeah. Because apparently there's a video going around viral right now about a guy who was on a Zoom call and didn't put pants on and didn't know this call had gone live and he's just wandering around and it was quite entertaining. Yeah.
Yeah,
So we're
it's
seeing people jumping on already. Just want to say hi, Paula, Melinda, Beth, Chris, and Becky, Angela. Hi, guys. It's good to have you. We've got our friends from Oshawa. Good to have all you guys again. Pam, yay. So we want to just make sure that we're going to do our best to just keep interacting with you guys all night. So keep messaging us, keep saying shout outs and all of that so that we can be chatting with you throughout the evening.
so cool, so cool. And
Yeah.
earlier today, I was just thinking, like, how do we make this? I was thinking of a CR night when we're sitting around in cafe and we're just having a conversation and stuff like that. And I got to tell you, it's kind of weird to be talking to a screen. So I'm going to pretend that you're sitting here at my dining room table and we're just having a conversation because that's most certainly more my style and what I
For
enjoy
sure.
doing. So we are excited to be here tonight with you, as we said, and we want you to let us know if you have any prayer requests or anything that we
Mhm.
can support you. If we can, we would love to try to do that. So, and you'll see it on the screen. We have a cr@creeksidechurch.ca email that you can send it off to, and we will make sure that someone gets connected with you. And as well, if you are joining us from anywhere else, let us know that too, because it's always cool to see other people
Mhm.
where they've come from and where they're jumping on from. And so, Jen, you're going to talk about open share groups.
I am. So we last week, no, we've done it a couple weeks now, Wendy. Last night was Lincoln Road's first night, which was really exciting to have open share groups. And we've been doing it for a couple weeks. So if you would still like to join an open share group, obviously this is for those watching live, not if you're watching it on playback. But for anyone, like again, every Friday night, we're going to have open share. And as well on Thursday nights, they're doing open share at Lincoln Road. So same email address that's right below us here. Where am I? This email address. Send us an email and let us know that you want to be a part of OpenShare, and we will send you the Zoom link. So you can still get that tonight if you want. We've got somebody who will send you the email still this evening. And yeah, we'd love to have you join us for OpenShare. So I'm seeing more people. Gary, hey, good to see you again, Gary. It feels like it's been a while. And Brienne, welcome, guys. So, and Bill, so
We're
I
going
think,
to transition.
yeah,
We're going to shake things up a little bit tonight. But we are going to worship first because it's always good to
mhm,
just settle our hearts a little. And we always love having Joy and Chris with us. So welcome Joy and Chris to worship with
yeah.
us.
Hey everyone, it's so great to see you all. We're so glad to be back with you. And happy Easter. I know it seems like it was a long time ago, but we're still in the week after Easter. I can hardly believe that. And we're still celebrating what Jesus has done for us. So I will invite you to worship with us wherever you are. Let's lift up his name and thank him for what he's done for us. How great the chasm that lay between us, how high the mountain I could not climb. In desperation, I turned to heaven and spoke your name into the night. Then through the darkness, your loving kindness tore through the shadows of my soul. The work is finished, the end is written. Jesus Christ, my living hope. Who could imagine so great a mercy? What heart could fathom such boundless grace? The God of ages stepped down from glory to wear my sin and bear my shame. The cross has spoken, I am forgiven. The King of Kings calls me his own. Beautiful Savior, I'm yours forever. Jesus Christ, my living hope. Hallelujah, praise the one who set me free. Hallelujah, death has lost its grip on me. You have broken every chain. There's salvation in your name, Jesus Christ, my living hope. Hallelujah, praise the one who set me free. Hallelujah, death has lost its grip on me. You have broken every chain. There's salvation in your name, Jesus Christ, my living hope. Then came the morning that sealed the promise. Your buried body began to breathe. Out of the silence, the roaring lion declared the grave has no claim on me. Then came the morning that sealed the promise. Your buried body began to breathe. Out of the silence, the roaring lion declared the grave has no claim on me. Oh, Jesus, yours is the victory. Oh, hallelujah, praise the one who set me free. Hallelujah, death has lost its grip on me. You have broken every chain. There's salvation in your name, Jesus Christ, my living
Thank you so much, Chris and Joy. And like, holy moly, guys, did they ever step it up a notch this week? Like, give them a shout out in the comments, throw up a like, and just like, I don't know, can we even clap hands? Do we have little hand clapping emojis we can be using? We'll just clap our hands. I found the sound effects. Are you guys ready for this? Woo! Good job, Chris and Joy. Yeah, thanks for
So cool.
worshiping with us.
So cool. And just like I invited us around the table, I would love to just, when you're chatting around the table, like we really want to encourage you guys to be chatting in the comments too and get involved in community, because we just really want this to be a place where you can come on a Friday night and just, connect with people and chat. And for those of you that maybe have just happened upon us and you don't know what CR is or who we are, and we call it CR. I should say it all. It's Celebrate Recovery, because we just get so used to calling it CR. But we want to hear from you as well. If it's your first time, send us an email at cr@creeksidechurch.ca, and we want to connect with you and let you know and answer any of your questions that you have, so that you can get connected here in this awesome community.
Yeah.
And I think that Jen is able to see lots of the comments, so she's going to engage in some of the comments, and then she's going to go and teach us some good stuff.
I am, for sure. So thank you, Melanie, for doing all of the hand clappings. Of course, there are those emojis. Duh. Like, why don't I remember this? I just can't do it from my end here. Welcome, Hillary. Good to see you guys. David, we know you're not Helen. Welcome, David. Our apologies for messing that up a couple of times there, but good to have you. And just acknowledging that Joy and Chris are great at what they do. We love having them, and we can't wait till we can be together again. We don't know when that's going to be. And so we're going to make the most of this and just make this the best experiences we had. So as we can. So as Wendy said, keep commenting, because that's what our community is right now, guys. So if you want to feel like you are part of a community, the best way to do that is through the comments, so that others and you guys interact with each other. It doesn't have to always be me and Wendy. And you guys do a great job of that. So keep it up. So LOL, Helen, David. I'm going to call you the wrong thing all the time. My apologies. So let's get into our little chat for tonight. So I'm going to go full screen. So guys, what we want to talk about tonight is another really fun topic, just like loneliness was last week. But as Wendy and I just pray about what to present and what to share with you guys on a Friday night, we always seem to get incredibly challenged throughout the week with every topic. And we know that God wants to teach us just as much as he potentially wants to teach others. So I'm going to share. Let me just get my brain here going. I just lost it for a second. Okay. So how many of you in the comments, you can just comment and let me know. How many of you know what the game tag is? I'm assuming a lot of us know what tag is. It is a game that a lot of us played as kids. And so if you aren't familiar with tag, let me describe it to you. So it is this game where everybody stands around, and at first you have to decide who's going to be it. So how the term it came to be, I have no idea, but you pick somebody who's going to be it. So you can touch your nose, you can onka bonka dona kronka, you can nod it, nod it, nod it. There's all sorts of different ways we determine who's going to be it. So the person who's it has to go and stand somewhere. They count to 10. Meanwhile, everyone runs away, and you're basically trying not to get tagged by the person who's it. But I think we can all remember that one person. Do you remember? Maybe you were this person, but maybe you know this person who's always the one that as you were barreling in on them, you're it, right? So as you're barreling down on them and you're getting closer, they're like within arm's reach of your hand now. And all of a sudden, for some reason, they're like, time out, I call time out, you can't tag me. And you're like, what? Like, no, that's not how it works. Because when I played tag, we all had a safe zone, right? So you could go up at my house. It was always the front porch we would run to. And that's where you could just, if you were able to get there, you could go have a little break and catch your breath for a moment before you ran back out to run around like crazy. And nobody could tag you while you were on the front porch in the safe zone. But over the years, somehow it morphed into this, you don't need to get to a safe zone, you can just call a timeout. And I'm doing this hand gesture, and I've learned that for those who are in the UK, this means something very different than in Canada. So we're using this as timeout for tonight, or tea. So people just started calling this whole like tea, and then you couldn't catch them. And it's like, well, how is that fair? And so I want you guys to just know that I was the youngest kid on my street. So my sisters are older, and a lot of the friends we played with were older. And so I often was it. I was it in hide and go seek. I was it in tag. I was just often it because I was the littlest and the slowest. And they would all run away from me. It was a little traumatizing. I've worked through most of it. But I was an angry kid and I still identify with anger. So you can only imagine the temper tantrums that would ensue when I was constantly the one who would get teed and timed out so that I couldn't catch anybody. It was really discouraging. Anyways, I've already gone way off my notes. Look at that. Shocking. So here's the thing. This is the game that we play as kids, but the reality is we still play a form of this game when we're adults. At least I do. Maybe you guys don't, but I do. And as an adult, what this game becomes for me is avoidant behaviors. So, as I'm in the middle of something that is quite stressful, I feel like this thing is just barreling down on me and it's getting closer and closer and heavier until it's about to just push me over. And I suddenly call T because I don't want to deal with this anymore. So I call my own timeout and I say, nope, can't deal with it. So, what are some ways that I have avoidant behaviors? Great question, you guys. Let me tell you some. The first one, some examples. The first one would be procrastination. So you might have household tasks that aren't getting done. You might have notifications on your phone, all those little red circles of doom that just haunt you. Or perhaps it's a work project that you're just not getting to. Maybe you have some obsessive behaviors. So you're over cleaning in your home, you're over accumulating, whether it's panic purchasing or just collecting so many different things through spending. Or perhaps you're just obsessed with work or task or exercise. Maybe it's social withdrawal. So ignoring messages from people. You know, you get that text message that it's one more thing, you just can't deal with it. So you just don't text anybody back or email people back. Or maybe you don't answer your phone or you just ignore those emails, as I just said. Perhaps it's distant or distracted emotional encounters. So you have these moments where your emotions just kind of go blank. So in some instances, people might just go to one end of the spectrum where it just becomes all about humor and they just use humor to avoid anything serious. Or you could go to the other end of the spectrum where you just shut down emotionally and you just become vacant. And this is something that I've really been noticing about myself lately, and I'm going to share a bit more about it later. But sometimes it's just too hard to hear what some people are sharing about because I'm just not in a good space. And so I just kind of shut myself down to keep myself guarded emotionally. What I should have done is put up healthy boundaries, but yeah, this is a lesson I'm learning, and I'll be definitely sharing more later because in the end, I just end up hurting the person that I think needs to process, and I just don't listen well. Perhaps you're just in a place where you're overly emotional, or you're just deflecting all of your emotions or other people's emotions. So you're just constantly on the verge of tears or sarcastic or whatever that might look like. It could be that you're fixated on judging others, right? In the recovery world, we call this a critical spirit. And I know this is something I've struggled with a lot over the years because I always think that I'm doing it right and I've got the right answer and how I'm doing it is clearly the best. No, but it's really easy for me to then want to judge others. And I saw a picture on social media this week, and it was a little girl, and she had like a sandwich board on her sign taped to her back, and she said, "It said, I'm 5 years old and shopping with my mom. Yes, because my mom is a single parent." And I'm only 5 and she can't leave me at home alone. So please don't judge us. And like my heart broke because I thought, how much has that mom been judged and criticized and heckled, whatever's happened, clearly enough to make her realize that putting a sign on it is just the easier solution. So people stop judging her. Perhaps it is gossip. Um, and gossip can come in the forms of different things, right? We get overly involved in people's lives. And depending on our heart's motive, the over involvement can either be out of kind of that critical spirit, or where we want to tear somebody down, or we can get overly involved in somebody's life codependently. Again, I'm totally guilty of that. I love to be needed. Like that's been something I've had to work through over the years. And so I get overly involved and overly invested in somebody's life in a codependent way, and just, again, focus on all of their issues instead of mine. Or maybe your tag moment is when you just feel selfish because everything's all about you. And guys, in this season of COVID, these are all emotions that we deal with on a regular basis, right? These are things that prior to isolation and quarantine, we dealt with all of these things. But the reality is in this season of COVID, some of these things can be even more heightened. And I don't know about you, but I'm definitely feeling it more than I normally do. And I had a conversation recently with somebody, and it was like, well, what do you do in this situation? I'm like, I have no idea. Like, we've never experienced this before. So I can't pull off of any prior knowledge or prior experience because I don't know. I don't know what to do. And so these things can be so overwhelming for us as we play our adult version of tag. And so it's one thing to be able to acknowledge them, which is a huge part of recovery, right? We come into recovery and we can start naming and labeling and acknowledging what these things are in our lives. But it's a whole nother layer in recovery to be able to identify how these are affecting other people in our lives and what we need to do about it. So, Wendy, why don't you share with us some of the effects of what this does on other people?
I can do that, Jen. I most certainly can. So thanks so much for sharing all of those ideas. Sometimes it's like, oh, those are so relatable. And I can. There were so many that are relatable. And I like how you added in there the judgment. So I'm going to go through some of them that I do in my life. And I'm going to assume that there's not going to be any judgment. Because I think that we are warriors doing this journey together. And I'm going to just share some of the things that I've had to wrestle through, and some of them as recently as this morning. So I agree. It's such a huge step to acknowledge and name the problem. And then for me, it was like to look at actually the consequences or the effects of those things. And it's hard to do that. It's hard to reflect and do those things. Earlier this week, I was heard this thing, and it said, embrace the refining. And I don't know about you, but I feel like I'm embracing the refining through all of this change. But it also, and so in some of these patterns of using my avoidant behavior, it feels like I'm going around and around and around the mountain because it seems they're so habitual and I just do them. But in this article that I was reading, it was like, embrace the refining and head north. And so as we were preparing for this today, it was like, I feel like I'm being refined and I'm being refined and refined. But you know what? I'm going to choose to head north. And Jen's going to get to talk about some of those things that we can do once we realize. But I'm just going to kind of go through how these things have affected me and some of the things that I've done. So we're going to look at three things tonight. I know that there's more, and I've generalized a lot of it. But this affects the people that are closest to me. My husband, my kids, my family, my friends, my accountability team. And the avoiding behavior that I choose to do sometimes is distancing and distracting or isolating. And when I do those things, my goal is that I don't want to feel awkward. I don't want to feel rejected. I don't want to feel lonely. And so when I put up this distance or I get distracted by things, then somehow I feel like I have some control. But what the reality is, the effect that I'm having on these relationships is that I'm frustrating others. I'm creating conflict. I'm creating a lot of distance. I'm creating some confusion in those relationships. I'm causing the problem to actually get bigger often than and to grow in comparison to just dealing with them. Another example would be, and I've done this really recently, I go into fixing or task to avoid the situations or perhaps memories that would conjure up any feelings in myself that I would feel hard to navigate. So instead of dealing with those feelings, I would choose to go into fixing mode or controlling mode to just not have to feel those things. And the effect in that, it minimizes the support that I can give to other people, and often it then minimizes the support that I can receive myself. And if I'm honest, it deadens my feelings and makes others feel like that I'm not approachable and that they can't connect with me. Another example that is hurting the relationships that are closest to me would be when I would choose to avoid those hard conversations. I don't know, I'm sure that you've had them. I think we've avoided them. And so there's sometimes when I just avoid these hard conversations, or sometimes I avoid expressing my needs or my wants or my ideas, just so that there can be peace. And so that, and when I do that, then often I'm led to over functioning or avoiding that conflict. And when I do that, then the effect is that I don't allow others to take their own responsibility for themselves, or to grow, because sometimes those things that I'm not saying would actually help them grow and grow closer to Jesus. And sometimes it doesn't allow me to grow if I choose not to do that. And it also doesn't allow people to know me, or understand who I am. So those are a few examples. I probably could go on a little bit more about the relationships that are closest to me. But I'm going to move on to the next one. And these are the relationships, and they kind of go together. And you'll notice that throughout when I'm sharing, a lot of the same behaviors are used in each of these different relationships. And so my relationships with those that God is calling me to serve. I've noticed something about myself that I'm trying to get better at, but is most certainly a challenge, is that when God is calling me to serve in areas that aren't really comfortable for me, then I get quiet and reserved. And I like to try to fly as far under the radar as I possibly can, because when I do that, it feels a lot safer. It seems like it's less risky. And I found myself being in situations where I'm avoiding anything that I wouldn't feel like I could do it well. And so the challenge with that and the effect that is that it hinders my ability to stay present and available in the moments and the relationships that God is calling me to do. And I miss opportunities. And this one hurts my heart a little bit. I miss opportunities to share what God is doing in my life when I shrink back from who God has made me to be. So you're going to notice there's a theme, that all of these things that I'm doing to give me this temporary pleasure, to give me this temporary ease in life, they have consequences and they have effects. And so the one that I'm going to end with is my relationship with God. When I choose to withdraw and isolate, when I choose to get busy, to go to task, to get distracted with Facebook and games and work, I can use that as a big distraction as well. When I avoid taking things to Him, my feelings or my circumstances, when I avoid worshiping Him, when I avoid testing my thoughts against His truth, then what happens is then I start ruminating over them all, and it doesn't solve the problems. And so the effect is when I choose to use these coping, I distant myself from God. And these things manifest itself in fear and insecurity and a desire just to have control. And so then I start acting like actually I can run this world better than what God can. And I know that to be a lie. And so over the last little while, I've been asking God to search me. And you may have heard the scripture before in Psalm 139:23. Search me, O God, and know my heart, and test me and know my anxious thoughts. And when I'm choosing to not meet with God, then I'm most certainly not inviting Him to do that. And you can hear from what I've shared that my experiences that I'm having are now, and I'm starting to come out, and it's not, as I said, I've experienced this within the last probably 10 hours where I tried to use one of these coping strategies. But I'm telling you that my experiences are repeatedly reminding me that these avoidance behaviors are wreaking havoc and not helping me grow in my relationships that I long for. And they create stress and anxiety and destroy the confidence I have in myself and in God. And so I actually, when I started, I wanted to just actually go, okay, Jen, can we just avoid this middle part and just not talk about it? But I'm pretty confident that some of you are out there thinking that there is going to be some benefit and from it, but it doesn't reap the long term goals that you probably want. So Jen gets to walk through some of the ways that we can walk this out in our recovery, and I'm going to turn it over to Jen.
Wendy, thank you for sharing that and just your vulnerability. I know this has not been easy for you to process through, so thank you for just sharing with us, yeah, how it affects your relationship with others, how it affects your relationship with those you serve and with God. That was really, really well said. So yeah, I'm gonna jump on here and just talk about. So we've identified and labeled the problem. We've acknowledged that this problem is affecting others in my life and it's affecting me. And so now what? What does this look like? What do I do about it? And how do I stop this cycle? Or maybe the more important question is to say, who can stop this cycle? And I'm sure if you've been in the church world, you can raise your hand and say, Jesus. Because, yeah, Jesus is a fantastic answer for this. But when we look at the steps, because we are a 12-step recovery ministry and we are a Christ-centered 12-step recovery ministry. So yeah, Jesus is a great answer for all of the steps. But if we look at step 1, it says that we admitted we were powerless. So there's this element that we have to do. We have to take ownership. We have to take responsibility. And Wendy used that word as well. There's responsibility that we need to take. Steps 2 and 3 and the rest of the way through, right? God is there with us and we go and meet Jesus. So we have to be able to come out of denial, but then we have to be willing to acknowledge that we need Jesus, that we need something bigger than ourselves. And then we have to be willing to surrender to him. So it's not this one-step process that we have to take. And as we surrender, we need to actually acknowledge that A, I'm not Jesus, but B, I need him, and C, I can't do this on my own, and I don't want to do this on my own. This is the beauty of the 12 steps, you guys. And I'm so thankful for recovery because I get to be honest. I get to be vulnerable with people. I get to be authentic with people. But I've really learned how to use my voice to just be more real and to be more honest with those I care about. And I had no idea that this COVID season would challenge some areas of recovery that I thought I had done such a great job of working through. I've been in recovery for 11 years, you guys. I have worked on so much of my codependency. I've worked on boundaries. I've worked on so many of these things. I've worked on my anger. But I tell you, this season of COVID, it is just bringing up some things that I'm not happy about. And it's really humbling to think, oh, I haven't arrived. Oh, I still need to keep working on these things as God is, as Wendy says, refining, right? And I don't remember her exact quote, but it was awesome. And I know someone else commented on it in there as well. So God is just continuing to refine me. And I'm so thankful that I have a friend in recovery who I can just talk really openly and honestly with each other. And we were having a conversation this week, and we've been learning about this. I've been learning about an awkward season for me because we were having a conversation recently, and I realized that I just kind of shut down on her while she was talking. And I didn't think that I really had until she called me out on it. And I got defensive and was like, no, I wasn't. Like, I listened to everything you said and I could repeat what she was saying. And I was validating and I was trying to be empathetic. But she said, but your empathy is just so void. There's no emotion. And I was like, what? And I started getting really angry because I was like, I'm doing all the right things. Like in my mind, I'm going through this checklist. But what I realized is that the stuff she was sharing with me was really hard. And I wasn't in a posture where I could feel that. And so I just put my little guard up, and I did all the right things, except really truly let my emotion, let her in and let my heart out. And so all of a sudden it felt like I was playing this game of tag, and her emotions were barreling down on me, and they were like catching me, and they were getting so close, and it was so much that I just called a T. Except, guys, I didn't call a T to her. I didn't call timeout to her face. I called it silently, and I just let myself shut down. And I ended up hurting her a lot because I couldn't be empathetic. I couldn't go down into that pit with her and actually just listen, and just be a friend. I stayed up outside of the pit. I think of the Brene Brown video, if any of you have seen it. I wasn't even the giraffe sticking my head in saying, "Do you want a sandwich?" I was just up there going like, I can hear you. Yep, I got it. And what I should have done is said, "Wow, okay, this is a lot for me. And I just can't handle hearing it right now. I want to hear it, but I should have put up a healthier boundary at the beginning." What I should have done is designated what my safe zone was and had that front porch where I could just go, and that was safe and it was okay. But the reality is, I need to go meet Jesus on that front porch so that he can meet me when I don't have the capacity to bring the emotion. John 14:27 says this: "I'm leaving you well and whole. That's my parting gift to you, peace. I don't leave you the way you're used to being left, feeling abandoned or bereft. Don't be upset. Don't be distraught." Guys, here's the thing. We've all got that thing that is coming at us hard in this season. And we just want to call a timeout and say, nope, this is not going to happen. But if we just all went to our porch, because the reality is Jesus, he is the porch. And so all we actually need to do is just go to Jesus and sit with him and let him help us get through this season. And I promise you, it will look so much different. We have a really cool video. Wendy, I'm coming back to split screen here, but we have a cool video that we want to share. So why don't you introduce that for us?
It's so cool, and how we switched up as we put our leader video at the beginning. But we are excited to have Josh share with us tonight. And I love how in his video, I'm not gonna blow up for you. I'm just actually gonna let you have a listen to it, and then we'll chat about it after. Go ahead, Jen.
Okay.
Hey guys, I struggle big time with procrastination, and it can be defined as the action of delaying or postponing something. So I laughed when I first got this question. For me and my struggle with procrastination, it looks like me knowing what I should do, and I distract myself from that by doing the things that I want to do. So I'll put that off to do something else. So I'm still taking action, but I'm doing something that I want to do. So what God's teaching me in this, trying to be productive, is that I need to cultivate discipline. And that's been a challenge for me. So one of the things that I found really, really helpful is to just make a short list of the 2 to 5 things that I really know that I should get done that day. Some days I don't even make the list, but the days that I do, I might not get through the whole list, but if I can tick a few things off the list, I feel a lot better about being productive and not procrastinating and delaying and distracting. And I can do some of the things that I enjoy doing without any guilt. And that's been really helpful for me to start to cultivate some discipline. So thanks for letting me share.
Welcome back.
Yeah.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you, Josh.
So much for sharing. And what I was going to say is I just love how at the end he gives us this action item, right?
Right.
And I don't know about you, but sometimes I want to be able to have something that, like Jen had given us some more of those just things, those action items, those things that we can do to break the cycle of some of the things that we are doing that really aren't setting us up to grow closer in our relationship with God or closer in relationship with others. Jen, do you have anything else that you'd like to just add about Josh's?
I'm Josh, thank you. It's just really cool that people are willing to come on. And guys, we know this is going on the World Wide Web and it's up there. So we're just thankful for the leaders that are willing to just share and be vulnerable with us. And when we asked Josh to do this, he was just totally willing. So thank you. It's really cool. And it's been fun to just read some of your comments, guys. Yeah, and see some faces on here that we haven't seen yet, and to just be connecting. So yeah, and somebody said I have trouble knowing when to call T, and I think that's really common for a lot of us, and it's just the reality of even more so, right? It's just heightened in this world. So we have a focus question tonight. Let me just bring that up here. So if you are heading to Open Share, this is the question. I know it sounds a little bit long, but it says, how has your avoidant behavior affected your relationship with God, your relationship with those closest to you, and or those who God has called you to serve? So it's kind of that three-part, right? Those three things that Wendy talked about. So you can pick one of them, you can pick all three, but that's going to be the focus question in our Open Share tonight. Or you can talk about whatever else you need to. That's the beauty of Open Share.
So cool.
Yeah.
So we have one more worship song. So we are going to welcome back Joy and Chris, and you want to stay around because you want to listen to the Serenity Prayer at the end and join in that. So let's worship.
Yes, let's do that.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for sticking with us. We're going to worship again tonight before we go. This song is one of my favorites. It's called I Am Who You Say I Am. And as we go out into the world from this safe place, let's remember that and declare it over our lives that we are not who anyone else says we are, not even who we say we are. We are who God says we are. Let's celebrate that tonight. Who am I that the highest King would welcome me? I was lost, but he brought me in. Oh, his love for me. Oh, his love for me. Who the sun sets free, oh, is free indeed. I'm a child of God, yes I am. At last he has ransomed me, his grace runs deep. While I was a slave to sin, Jesus died for me. Yes, he died for me. Who the sun sets free, oh, is free indeed. I'm a child of God, yes I am. In my Father's a child of God. Yes, I am. I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me. I am who you say I am. I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me. I am who you say I am. I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me. I am who you say I am. Oh, I am who you say I am. Yes, I am who you say I am. Who the sun sets free, oh, is free indeed. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am. In my Father's house, there's a place for me. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am. Thank you, Jesus. Good night, everyone.
Thank you so much again, Chris and Joy. We love worshiping with you guys. I hope you were all just belting it out. I was seeing some comments coming in and lots of likes and hearts, so that was really awesome.
That's so cool. So good to have you guys with us. And we just want to remind you, if you are new to visiting us on this page or to Celebrate Recovery, reach out to us and let us get in touch with you so that we can answer your questions and we can connect with you. And we would just love for you to be able to be part of this community. And it's just an awesome community to be part of. And we want to make you part of this community. Also, if I went into Jen's, but I'm going to keep on going. If there is any celebrations and that you are having or would like to celebrate with us, most certainly send it off to cr@creeksidechurch.ca. Let us know if there's any physical needs or you're just needing to connect with someone. Send us an email, and one of our team will get in touch with you and just see where you're at and just have that conversation. So, Jen, is there anything else?
I'm seeing someone here from Kingston. I'm seeing Chris, who was just doing worship for us on here. Awesome. We've put the email up, guys. If you have been a part of OpenShare before, it is the same Zoom link, so you don't need another email for that. So you can just use the Zoom link from a previous week. And we're just going to ask, we'll do our best, but we're getting down to the wire here. So we'll try to send out the Zoom link for OpenShare tonight. We'll do our best. We're going to do the Serenity Prayer, and then we'll open up our open shares shortly after. Obviously, there's a few logistical things we need to just shut down here. So give us a bit, and then we will get into open share. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. We've said everything, I think. Yes. So we will say.
But we look forward to having you back next week.
We sure do.
And still continue to connect with your community that you've got online here and with your accountability outside of that. And we just look forward to continuing to grow with you over the next few weeks. Take care.
Absolutely. Have a great week, guys. We'll finish with the Serenity Prayer, and we will see you for our next Friday Night Live. Bye.
Take care, guys.
God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference, living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time. Accepting hardship as the pathway to peace. Taking as Jesus did, this sinful world as it is, not as I would have it. Trusting that He will make all things right if I surrender to His will. That I may be reasonably happy in this life and supremely happy with Him forever in the next. Amen.